Hello, you wonderful, wondering wonders out there in Oz. I'm, like everybody in Oz, now been asked to vote for this referendum for the voice, whether it's yes or no. And it got me thinking, and I suppose like every Aussie out there, you're thinking about things and, you know, what does it really mean, and, you know, is there any justification in it, you know, and how does it affect me, and why people should vote yes. And what dawned on me was, out of all this, I thought to myself, my God, we haven't, I mean, Australia recognises the Aboriginal people and what happened to them with the invasion of the white Europeans. But see, the white Europeans didn't really have a choice, apart from Captain Cook and, you know, those colonies that invaded so many countries all around the world, not only Australia. But see, the thing is, I think it's never been talked about. What about the convicts that were taken out of their homelands against their will, and then put into slavery to build what we have in Australia now? Was there any justification for the convicts and what happened to them and being enslaved and what they had to endure when they come to Australia? And did they not, were they not invaded? Were there no invasion upon the white Europeans against their will? They didn't come to Australia willingly. They were taken away, imprisoned, and they come to a foreign land and they had no choice, the convicts, in living. It was either life or death. And I dare say a lot of the convicts, and this is a topic, I don't know why, it's always the Aboriginal community and what happened to them in Invasion Day and all that sort of thing. And everybody talks about that, and, you know, it stirs up so much emotion. And of course, every Australian does recognise what happened to the Aboriginal community, but also we've got to recognise what happened to the convicts. Were they not, you know, slaughtered also? Did they not go through starvation, discrimination, racism? Did they not go through any of this? I'm sure they did. And was there any, and is there any, reconciliation for the white European and their generations from the, you know, from the convicts that come and their generations up? You know, is there any justification for them, what they went through? We talk about so much on how, in my opinion, and I don't know, you know, leave it in a comment if you want, but I'm just putting it out there with where it talks up so much emotion for the, you know, cause of Invasion Day and what happened. Okay, it's happened, and we recognise that. Every Australian is aware of that. You know, even when my daughter was young, and she was about, I think, about 6, and she come home one afternoon from school crying, and well, I picked her up crying and I asked her what was wrong. She, you know, like a 6-year-old, they're not about to tell you, they're just about to cry and carry on. And I asked the teacher, and of course, well, we're not aware, we don't know, perhaps she hurt herself. So anyway, when I got home and she settled down a little bit, and she said, kept saying, "I'm sorry, Mummy, I'm sorry, Mummy." And I thought to myself, and I said, "Well, what are you sorry about, darling? Why are you saying sorry to Mummy?" And she said, "Well, I'm sorry for hurting the Aboriginal people." She was 6. And I just like was taken back And I thought, and it's very hard for a 6-year-old to tell a 6-year-old, especially when they're saying, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt the Aboriginal people, mummy. I'm very sorry. And, so many kids would have gone through that on Sorry Day. And trying to tell my daughter at the age of 6 what happened, so many hundreds of years ago with the Aboriginals and the Invasion Day, it's, but she's aware of it now. She's a full-grown woman. But the thing is, I had to encounter that, and that was heartbreaking because I had to say to her, you don't have to be sorry. You didn't hurt the Aboriginal people. And, that's the thin line we're talking about, And, of course, so many kids now, I don't know whether they've still got Sorry Day at schools. But it's to me, a lot of kids are confused by that because they're saying sorry for what? We recognise what happened to the Aboriginal communities and on Invasion Day and what happened and slaughtered and misery, sadness, the white man's influence. But what about the convicts? They were up with all of what the Aboriginal people experienced. I'm sure the convicts experienced that and perhaps maybe even more. Because if you look around all around Australia, what parts of the Australia didn't the convicts build? So there you go. So, I just had to put it out there because I thought it was wrong. We're talking about this and they want the vote, yes, no. And I'm not putting racism or anything out there or anything. I'm not racist. But I'm just saying the penny dropped and I thought, well, what about the poor bloody convicts? And what about the generations after the convicts where there was broken families and, and that sort of thing and alcoholism and, and domestic violence. That all went on and extended from the convict days right up until now with a lot of generations. And I don't see support going to them or a voice going to them. So, and there's a lot of white people that were in the 50s given up by their parents to the government to find out years later when they were adults they weren't even entitled to find out where their mother was. Nothing. No identification, to know nothing about yourself's a horrible thing. To try and make attempts to find out where you come from, your origins, what makes you tick and click, where you come from, your mob. It's a horrible thing not to know that. So that's what I'm saying. There's no justification for anything. And certainly no justification for the bloody convicts. But anyway, Oz, that's just how I felt. And I felt that I had to express it with you guys because we're forgetting about that side that happened. And they didn't come here willingly. And I'm sure they died. And, weren't they invaded? There's no justification in that. So think about it. But anyway, that's just my opinion. I just thought I'd put it out there. Look after yourself, guys. Look after yourself with blues, that sort of thing. If you're experiencing domestic violence, psychological or substance abuse, 1-800-Lifeline. There's always somebody out there you can talk to and get in contact. And here in Oz, we've got a lot of support services, so don't forget that. But one thing, Oz, and I think the boat's sailing and we forgot about, it wasn't only the Aboriginal communities and the Aboriginal people invaded. It was also the convicts that were invaded also. But anyway, until next time, look after yourself. My 4 codes, I'll say them. Respect, dignity, honour and integrity. They'll serve you well. And faith, of course. Until next time, Oz, look after yourself, eh? See you later. Well, remember the convicts and what they went through.